Did you know that Hogwarts is not the only magic school in the Harry Potter universe? In fact, there are at least 11 major magical institutions spread across the world, each with their own traditions, secrets, and fascinating histories. Some openly teach the dark arts, others are built in golden palaces, and there's even a school where uniforms change color as students advance in their magical abilities. Get ready, because today we're going to dive deep into each of these schools, revealing details that few know about the global wizarding world. Stay until the end, because I'll reveal information about mysterious schools that not even the biggest fans know exist. Before we begin this journey through the magical world, join our community. Click the subscribe button now and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos. And tell me in the comments, from which city are you watching this video? I love knowing where you all are from. Now yes, let's begin our journey through the most incredible magic schools in the wizarding world. Let's start, of course, with the most famous of all magic schools, the one we all know and love. Hogwarts, the school of witchcraft and wizardry, was founded over 1,000 years ago by 4 of the most powerful wizards and witches in history. Godric Gryffindor, Salazar Slytherin, Helga Hufflepuff, and Rowena Ravenclaw had a shared vision of creating a safe place where young wizards could learn to control and develop their magical abilities away from the eyes of muggles. They chose the Scottish Highlands, a remote and wild region, perfect for hiding an entire castle through powerful enchantments. But even in those early days, there was disagreement among the founders. The central question was simple but deeply divisive. Who should be allowed to study magic? Gryffindor valued courage above all, believing that a brave heart was a wizard's greatest attribute. Slytherin, on the other hand, prioritized ambition and cunning, but also had controversial convictions about blood purity, believing that only wizards from magical families should attend Hogwarts. Ravenclaw sought intelligence and wisdom, valuing those with brilliant minds and thirst for knowledge. Hufflepuff was the most inclusive, welcoming all who demonstrated loyalty, hard work, and fair values. These fundamental differences became the basis of Hogwarts's house system. Each student, upon arriving at the school, is sorted into one of the 4 houses by the Sorting Hat, a magical relic created by Gryffindor himself. The hat not only analyzes the students' qualities, but also considers their desires and ambitions. This internal structure still shapes every aspect of student life at Hogwarts, from shared dormitories to rivalries, sometimes friendly, sometimes intense, for the House Cup. The castle itself is a masterpiece of magical architecture. It is unplottable, which means it cannot be mapped by conventional means. Hidden by complex enchantments, the castle is in constant change. Staircases move without warning, rooms appear and disappear as needed, and the ceiling of the Great Hall perfectly mimics the sky outside, whether sunny, stormy, or starry. Even centuries after its founding, no one has completely mapped all the secret passages or hidden chambers of the castle. There is always more to discover. Academically, Hogwarts is built around practical learning. First-year students have mandatory classes in essential subjects like transfiguration, where they learn to transform objects and even creatures, charms, which teaches the art of enchanting and modifying the behavior of objects, and potions, where precise ingredients create extraordinary magical effects. As they advance through the years, students can choose elective subjects like divination, where the prediction of the future is studied through various techniques, arithmancy, which explores the magical properties of numbers, and care of magical creatures, which teaches about the diverse magical beings that inhabit the wizarding world. Exams are taken very seriously at Hogwarts. OWL, S or Ordinary Wizarding levels, are taken in the 5th year and determine which advanced subjects the student can pursue. In the 7th year, students face NEWTs, or nastily exhausting wizarding tests, rigorous exams that decide the student's professional path in the magical world. Grades in these exams are crucial for prestigious careers like Auror, Healer at St. Mungo's, or positions at the Ministry of Magic. The staff at Hogwarts is diverse and fascinating. At the top is the headmaster, followed by the 4 heads of houses, professors specialized in each subject, and support functions like the gamekeeper and caretaker. But what really keeps the school running are the dozens of house elves who work behind the scenes, preparing elaborate meals, cleaning the enormous castle, and ensuring everything functions perfectly. Magical portraits provide advice and surveillance, while resident ghosts, each house has its own, help maintain order. And then there's Peeves, the poltergeist, who does exactly the opposite, creating chaos wherever he goes. Throughout its history, the castle has faced attacks, revelations of dark secrets, and threats of dark magic. The Chamber of Secrets, created by Salazar Slytherin, remained hidden for centuries until it was opened again. The school was the scene of battles during the Wizarding Wars, and its corridors saw both triumph and tragedy. Still, Hogwarts remains the most iconic magic school in the world, a place where generations of young wizards and witches discover who they are and who they can become. Now let's cross the English Channel and travel to southern France, where in the majestic Pyrenees Mountains lies Beauxbaton's Academy of Magic. Its exact location is carefully hidden, but its reputation for elegance, discipline, and magical refinement is widely known throughout Europe. Unlike the robust and medieval stone of Hogwarts, Beauxbaton is described as a dazzling palace, warm, sparkling, and illuminated by golden magical lamps that never go out. The entire atmosphere reflects grace and formality. Beauxbaton students are often seen wearing impeccable light blue uniforms and demonstrating exceptional manners. It's not just a matter of appearance, but of educational philosophy. At Beauxbaton, it is believed that magic should be executed with beauty and precision, that every wand movement should have purpose and grace. The school was founded over 700 years ago, and although its original founders are never named in canonical history, it has long been led by headmistress Madame Maxime, a half-giant whose leadership combines impressive physical strength with refined elegance. Under her direction, Beauxbaton maintains a tradition of excellence in the magical arts, particularly in disciplines like elemental magic, enchantment, and healing. The Beauxbaton curriculum is known for emphasizing theory, along with practical spellwork, with a strong focus on discipline and aesthetic presentation. Students not only learn to perform magic, but to do so with style and precision. Every movement must be deliberate. Every enchantment must be pronounced perfectly. This rigorous approach produces some of the most technically skilled wizards in Europe. Beauxbaton is also one of 3 schools selected for the Triwizard Tournament, a dangerous and prestigious magical competition that takes place among major European schools. During the event of 1994 to 1995, the Beauxbaton delegation traveled to Hogwarts in a massive enchanted carriage pulled by 12 gigantic winged horses, an entrance that definitely left a lasting impression. Although the representation in popular memory leans heavily toward the feminine, especially due to the delegation scene at Hogwarts, the school is co-educational and has produced some of the most accomplished wizards and witches in Europe. Students dine in a magnificently decorated hall that is said to resemble an ice palace, with food that rivals the best French cuisine, both magical and non-magical. Art, music, and magical etiquette are part of the educational experience. This reflects how seriously Beauxbaton views the cultural side of magical education. It's not enough to be powerful, you must also be refined, educated, and culturally aware. Beauxbaton graduates often assume elevated positions in the European wizarding world, and the school has a well-documented history of cooperation with other magical governments, particularly the French Ministry of Magic. Although some critics view Beauxbaton as overly formal or elitist, the school remains one of the most prestigious and visually stunning magical institutions in the world. It is a place where magic meets art, where every spell is a performance, and where excellence is not just expected but required. Now let's go to one of the most secretive and controversial schools in the magical world, the Durmstrang Institute. Its exact location is one of the best-kept secrets of the wizarding community, although most sources place it somewhere in northern or eastern Europe, possibly in the distant expanses of Scandinavia or the Baltic region. What sets Durmstrang apart is not just its isolation, but its attitude toward magic. Unlike most schools, Durmstrang openly teaches the dark arts, not just defense against them. This doesn't mean they're creating dark wizards, but they believe that knowing these magics deeply is essential to protect against them and to understand the limits of magical power. This controversial approach has generated debate in the wizarding world for centuries. Durmstrang Castle is known for its cold climate, high elevation, and austere fortress-like design. Surrounded by frozen lakes and mountainous terrain, Durmstrang reflects its environment, rough, disciplined, and intense. It is not a place for the faint of heart. Winter here is relentless, and students learn to thrive in conditions that would leave others uncomfortable. The student body is smaller than Hogwarts or Beauxbatons, but much more regimented. Discipline is enforced through strict codes of conduct, and students are expected to excel both physically and magically. Durmstrang places strong emphasis on martial magic, dueling, combat spells, and magical resistance. Transfiguration and potions are still taught, but the curriculum leans heavily toward areas of power, control, and magical strength. It is the only known school to formally educate students in the dark arts, not just their counter-curses, which has earned it a reputation both feared and respected. Students learn curses that other schools only mention in theory, practice dueling with intensity that would be considered dangerous elsewhere, and are encouraged to push the limits of their magical abilities. The school has been led by multiple headmasters over the centuries, but one of its most infamous figures was Igor Karkaroff, a former Death Eater who fled Britain and later returned to lead Durmstrang during the Triwizard Tournament. While he was removed after his past became public, his tenure reinforced the idea that Durmstrang tolerates and sometimes cultivates dangerous magical ideology. Notable alumni include Gellert Grindelwald, one of the most powerful and dangerous dark wizards in history. His time at Durmstrang was brief. He was expelled for twisted magical experiments, but he left a lasting mark on the school's reputation. Even decades later, Grindelwald's name is associated with Durmstrang, a dark reminder of what can happen when talented students follow dark paths. Despite criticism, Durmstrang maintains its place as a top-tier magical institution. It is respected for its rigorous education and unrelenting standards. For those who value strength, control, and survival in magic, Durmstrang is a name that carries real weight. It is a place that makes no apologies for its approach and produces some of the most formidable wizards in the world. Now let's cross the Atlantic and explore the most prominent magic school in North America. Ilvermorny is located atop Mount Greylock in Massachusetts, founded in the 17th century by Isolde Sayre, an Irish witch descended from Salazar Slytherin, who fled to the New World to escape dark magic and persecution. With her Muggle husband, James Stewart, she built the school from scratch, literally starting as a single stone cottage. Over time, the cottage expanded into a castle, protected by enchantments and surrounded by dense forests. The story of Ilvermorny is a story of new beginnings and inclusion. Isolde had suffered at the hands of her Aunt Gormleth, a dark witch who had kept her prisoner for years. When she finally escaped to America, she was determined to create something different, something better. Unlike other wizarding schools, Ilvermorny was created with strong emphasis on inclusivity and integration. Isolde welcomed magical children from all backgrounds, including those from indigenous tribes, and even adopted the use of wands, something that was not initially practiced by many Native American magical communities. This blend of European and Native American traditions made Ilvermorny unique from the start. Ilvermorny sorts its students into 4 houses, each named after a magical creature significant to the founders. Thunderbird for adventurers, those who seek new horizons and are not afraid to explore the unknown. Wampus for warriors, the brave and protective who defend what is right. Horned serpent for scholars, those who value knowledge and wisdom above all. And Pukwudgie for healers, the compassionate who use magic to help and heal others. Unlike the Sorting Hat at Hogwarts, students at Ilvermorny stand before enchanted statues of each creature, which respond to the student they wish to claim. The Thunderbird raises its wings, the Wampus roars, the Horned Serpent lights its crystal in its forehead, and the Pukwudgie raises its arrow. In some cases, more than one statue reacts, but the final choice is left to the student. It is a moment of self-discovery and choice that defines the student's path through the school. The school's wand tradition is especially significant. The first students used wands created by James Stewart himself, who learned the art of wand making through trial and error. Ilvermorny quickly gained a reputation for advanced magical craftsmanship, and its wands are considered among the best in North America. The educational system mirrors the structure seen in Europe, but its culture is shaped by American history, frontier values, and a broader sense of magical mixing. Subjects include the standard magical curriculum, transfiguration, charms, potions, defense against the dark arts. But Ilvermorny also places greater focus on magical ethics due to the continent's history with native magic and Muggle secrecy. There is recognition that American magic exists in a different context, where multiple traditions meet and must coexist. The castle itself is grand, but lacks the medieval Gothic feel of Hogwarts. It is surrounded by enchanted grounds and forests, with protective spells cast to keep it hidden from the Muggle world, or rather, the no-mage world, as Americans prefer to say. Students travel to Ilvermorny at the start of each school year by broomstick, enchanted creature or magical vehicle, depending on their location and heritage. Ilvermorny may not be as old as some of its European counterparts, but its values of equality, innovation and unity have made it one of the most respected magical institutions in the world, and a beacon for the American wizarding community. It is a school that embraces its complex past while looking to the future with optimism. Now let's go to South America, to the main magic school of the entire continent. Castelo Bruxo is located deep in the Amazon rainforest in Brazil. Hidden by powerful enchantments and protected by magical creatures, the school appears as a golden temple-like structure when viewed by wizards and witches. To Muggles or non-magical people, it looks like nothing more than ancient ruins covered in vegetation. The school predates European colonization of the Americas. Although its exact founding date remains unknown, it is believed to be several centuries old, built by a mix of native magical cultures. Its architecture reflects indigenous styles fused with magical enhancements, walls that breathe, corridors that adapt to the forest, and defensive enchantments rooted in local elemental magic. Castelo Bruxo is known for its focus on magizoology, herbology, and potion making, all deeply connected to the Amazon's biodiversity. The surrounding jungle serves as classroom and training ground, where students learn to coexist with magical fauna and flora found nowhere else in the world. The Amazon is home to some of the rarest and most dangerous magical creatures on the planet, and Castelo Bruxo students learn to respect them and work with them from day one. The curriculum is considered especially strong in nature-based magic and ancient South American spellcasting traditions. There is deep respect for natural balance, for the idea that magic should not dominate nature, but work in harmony with it. This philosophy permeates every aspect of education at Castelo Bruxo. Students wear bright green robes and are supervised by small, spirit-like guardians called Kaipora, mischievous forest beings who watch over the school and play tricks on students who break the rules. These creatures act as both protectors and deterrent, and are said to be more effective than any human disciplinary staff. You cannot fool a Kaipora. They know when you're lying, when you're planning something you shouldn't, and they have very creative ways of ensuring you regret it. Castelo Bruxo accepts students from across the continent and maintains strong ties with magical governments in countries like Brazil, Argentina, and Colombia. It is considered highly prestigious, and its graduates often specialize in magical creature studies, environmental spellwork, or potion innovation, fields that require deep understanding of natural magic. Though less publicized in the global wizarding community, Castelo Bruxo's influence is profound, and its traditions reflect the powerful, often untamable relationship between magic and the natural world. It is a school shaped by the jungle, where survival and symbiosis are part of every lesson. You don't master the Amazon, you learn to live with it, and it's this lesson that defines education at Castelo Bruxo. Now, let's travel to the Far East, to Japan's legendary magic school. Mahuto Koro is located on the volcanic island of Minami Iwo Jima, built high on the misty cliffs of a dormant volcano. The school is carved from white jade and glows softly in the moonlight, visible to magical beings approaching by air, but completely hidden from Muggle detection. The school is centuries old, with some stories suggesting it is among the oldest continuously operating magical institutions in the world. Mahuto Koro has a reputation for both academic excellence and rigorous discipline. Students begin their magical education at a younger age than most schools, starting around 7 years old. In their early years, they attend as day students, returning home every night on enchanted storm petrels, magical seabirds large enough to carry them across the ocean. Imagine 7-year-old children flying home through the night sky on magical birds. It's a spectacular sight that sets the tone for the entire Mahuto Koro experience. At age 11, students transition to full-time residence at the school. Uniforms at Mahuto Koro are enchanted robes that change color as the student advances in skill and knowledge. Pale pink indicates a beginner, while gold is the mark of mastery. It is a visual system that allows everyone to immediately see a student's skill level, creating both motivation and pressure. However, if a student breaks magical law or engages in dark magic, their robes turn white, a symbol of disgrace and immediate expulsion. There is no second chance at Mahuto Koro when it comes to dark magic. The philosophy is clear. Magic is a responsibility, not just a power, and those who abuse it do not deserve to study it. The curriculum covers a wide range of subjects, but Mahuto Koro is particularly known for its focus on astronomy, magical theory, and precise wandwork. The school's location on a remote volcanic island offers incredibly clear night skies, perfect for astronomical observations. Students learn to read the stars, to understand how celestial bodies affect magic, and to use this knowledge in their spells. Quidditch is also taken extremely seriously at Mahuto Koro. The school's graduates often dominate international teams, including many who have played for Japan's national team. The school's Quidditch pitch is suspended over the ocean, supported only by magic, a breathtaking sight that also adds an extra element of danger to the game. Honor and discipline are central to Mahuto Koro's philosophy. Students are held to high standards of personal conduct, and the school maintains close ties with the Japanese Ministry of Magic. Any infraction involving dark magic or forbidden spells is met with immediate consequences, reinforcing a culture of integrity and restraint. Mahuto Koro may not boast the extensive grounds of Hogwarts or the enchanted jungle of Castelo Bruxo, but its clarity of purpose, its luminous design, and its emphasis on magical control make it one of the most respected institutions in the global wizarding world. It is a place where precision meets power, where discipline shapes talent, and where every student strives not just to be powerful, but to be worthy of that power. Now let's go to Africa, to the largest known wizarding school in the world. Both in physical size and student population, Ouagadougou is located somewhere in the mountains of the moon in Uganda, hidden high among the clouds and carved directly into the rock face. The school is so vast and so well hidden that most muggles would never suspect it exists. Those who come too close are gently redirected by enchantment. Ouagadougou is thousands of years old, with magical traditions that predate many of the European schools. It is recognized by the International Confederation of Wizards as a center of ancient magical knowledge, particularly in areas like astronomy, alchemy, and self-transfiguration. This last discipline is especially notable because Ouagadougou produces some of the most talented animagi in the world. Unlike most other institutions, Ouagadougou places less emphasis on wand use. African magic is often performed using gestures, spoken incantations, and the natural environment. Wands are taught but are seen as tools, not necessities. This more organic approach to magic is deeply rooted in African traditions and offers students a more intuitive understanding of magical power. Students receive their acceptance through dream messengers, spirit-like figures who appear to the child during sleep, leaving behind a token carved in stone to mark their place at the school. It is said that no letter arrives more magically or more memorably than those from Ouagadougou. Imagine waking from a vivid dream to find a carved stone beside your bed, knowing you have been chosen for one of the greatest magic schools in the world. The school's architecture is grand and elemental. Stone courtyards, open-air classrooms, and celestial observatories dominate the structure, and its design reflects harmony with the surrounding mountains. Students wear flowing robes made from woven materials that respond to the weather and the wearer's magical energy. The robes change texture and weight depending on temperature, become waterproof when it rains, and even glow subtly when the wearer is performing powerful magic. Ouagadougou is especially respected for its mastery of transfiguration and elemental magic. African wizards and witches are known for transforming into animals, clouds of mist, or even bursts of light, magical forms that take years to master elsewhere, but are part of daily learning here. Self-transfiguration is not just taught as an advanced skill, but as a fundamental way of understanding one's own magical identity. Due to its long history and deep cultural ties, Ouagadougou has produced generations of magical leaders across the African continent. Its alumni often serve as mediators, magical scholars, or protectors of endangered magical species, blending ancient wisdom with modern magical governance. There is a respect for tradition at Ouagadougou that does not limit but empowers, allowing students to learn from the past while shaping the future. Above all, Ouagadougou represents enduring magical heritage, rooted in the mountains, shaped by the stars, and revered throughout the wizarding world. It is a school that proves magic has no single form, no single approach, no single truth, but is as diverse and rich as the cultures that practice it. Beyond the 7 officially recognized institutions we have just explored, the wizarding world recognizes the existence of several other magic schools. Although many remain shrouded in mystery, lacking the historical detail or cultural clarity of their more famous counterparts, they play important roles in their regions. One of the most frequently cited is Koldov-Storets, which is believed to be located somewhere in Russia. Although almost nothing is known about its internal structure or educational practices, the school is notorious for its students playing Quidditch mounted on entire tree trunks. This detail speaks to both their magical strength and their daring, or perhaps both. Think about that for a moment. While students from other schools fly on sleek, aerodynamic broomsticks, the students of Koldov-Storets choose massive tree trunks. This requires not only extraordinary magical power to keep something so heavy in the air, but also exceptional skill to maneuver it. It's a demonstration of brute strength and refined control at the same time, very characteristic of what we imagine about the Russian approach to magic. Koldov-Storets has never formally participated in international tournaments like the Triwizard Tournament, but its students have been spotted at global magical events, always traveling in cohesive and disciplined groups. There's something about the way they present themselves that suggests rigorous education, perhaps even military in its structure. The school maintains its mystery deliberately, operating in the shadows of the international wizarding world. In other parts of Africa, beyond Ouagadougou, there are rumors of additional magical academies. Some believe there is a second school somewhere in Ethiopia or Nigeria. Institutions that predate colonial borders and serve regional magical communities independently. Although not officially documented, these schools are believed to operate in harmony with local traditions, blending ancient African spellwork with modern instruction in languages, wands, and magical defense. Africa is a vast continent with incredibly diverse magical traditions. It makes sense that Ouagadougou, as large as it is, cannot serve all the magical communities on the continent alone. These regional schools likely function differently, perhaps more integrated with their local communities, less isolated, more connected to the cycles and rhythms of life around them. In Oceania, it is widely believed that a school exists to serve witches and wizards in Australia, New Zealand, and the South Pacific. J.K. Rowling herself confirmed the existence of 11 major schools worldwide, which implies a formal institution somewhere in this region. Although its name, location, and structure remain unknown, it may be based on Aboriginal magical traditions, elemental weather magic, or Pacific Island enchantments, but none of these details have been confirmed through canonical history. Oceania is a fascinating region for magic because its indigenous traditions are as ancient as any in the world. Australian Aboriginal cultures have dreamtime stories and connection to the land that align perfectly with magical concepts. Polynesian cultures have traditions of star navigation and connection to the ocean that suggest deep magical knowledge. A school in this region would likely be different from anything we've seen, perhaps less focused on stone structures and more in harmony with natural landscapes. Speculative names like Nairobi Institute of Magic and Albemarle Academy appear in fan discussions and extended media, but so far they remain unverified. Some believe they are smaller regional academies, while others argue they are branches of the larger schools already mentioned. The truth is, we simply don't know. The magical world is vast and full of secrets, and not everything has been revealed or documented. What is certain is that magical education is not confined to Europe and North America. The wizarding world is vast, layered with cultural variation, and many magical communities likely operate through private tutoring, family-based apprenticeships, or local magical guilds, especially in regions where a large-scale academy would be impractical or too visible to the Muggle population. Think of the remote regions of the world, the small islands, the isolated communities in the mountains, the deserts, the deep jungles. In these places, magical education likely happens differently. Perhaps a young wizard learns from their grandparents, passing down knowledge from generation to generation. Perhaps entire communities come together to teach their children, each adult contributing their area of expertise. There are also magical families who choose to homeschool their children, hiring private tutors or using magical resources. This is especially common among very wealthy families or those with specific reasons to keep their children out of traditional schools. Magical education doesn't have a single form, and that's part of its beauty and diversity. Returning to the schools we know, it's worth considering how they compare to each other. Each has its strengths, its unique traditions, and its distinct approach to magical education. Hogwarts is known for its balance between tradition and innovation, for its house structure that creates community and healthy competition. Beauxbatons is recognized for its elegance and precision, for producing wizards who execute magic with artistic beauty. Durmstrang is respected for its no-apologies approach to power, for preparing students for the darker and more dangerous aspects of magic. Ilvermorny represents American values of inclusion and innovation, blending traditions from multiple cultures into something new and powerful. Castello Bruxo embodies the relationship between magic and nature, teaching respect for the natural world and the creatures that inhabit it. Mahutokoro demonstrates how discipline and honor can elevate magical practice to an art form. And Ouagadougou proves that the oldest and deepest magic doesn't need wands or external tools, but comes from within the wizard themselves. These differences aren't just academic. They reflect fundamentally different philosophies about what it means to be a witch or wizard. Hogwarts asks which house defines you, which virtue you value most. Beauxbatons asks how gracefully you can execute your magic. Durmstrang asks how strong you can become. Ilvermorny asks which creature represents your path. Castello Bruxo asks how you relate to the natural world. Mahotokoro asks if you are worthy of the power you seek. And Ouagadougou asks who you truly are beneath all the external tools and structures. When students from these schools meet, as in the Triwizard Tournament or other international events, these differences become apparent. A Hogwarts student might approach a challenge with courage or cunning, depending on their house. A Beauxbatons student might solve the same problem with elegance and precision. A Durmstrang student might use brute force and combat magic. Each approach is valid. Each reflects the education they received. This also creates opportunities for mutual learning. When students from different schools interact, they expose each other to new ways of thinking about magic. A Hogwarts student might learn about the wandless approach from a Ouagadougou colleague. An Ilvermorny student might discover Amazonian potion techniques from a Castello Bruxo friend. A Mahutokoro student might teach advanced astronomy to visitors from other schools. The Triwizard Tournament, despite its dangers, serves this greater purpose of uniting the magical world. When Hogwarts, Beauxbatons, and Durmstrang come together, it's not just a competition, it's a cultural exchange. Students from different traditions share meals, talk about their schools, learn from each other. These moments of connection are vital to prevent the magical world from fragmenting into isolated factions. It's also important to consider how these schools relate to their respective magical governments. Hogwarts has a complex relationship with the British Ministry of Magic, sometimes cooperative, sometimes tense. Beauxbatons works closely with the French Ministry. Durmstrang operates with considerable autonomy, though it still answers to some form of governmental oversight. Ilvermorny collaborates with the Magical Congress of the United States of America. Each school navigates this relationship differently, balancing educational independence with responsibility to the larger magical society. The schools also face different challenges. Hogwarts has struggled with infiltration by dark forces, with secrets hidden in its own walls, with the constant threat posed by the Chamber of Secrets and other dark legacies of its founders. Durmstrang faces the challenge of teaching about dark magic without creating dark wizards. Castello Bruxo must protect its students from the dangerous creatures of the Amazon while teaching them to respect these same creatures. Mahutokoro maintains its rigorously high standards while ensuring students aren't crushed by the pressure. Each school also has its own legends and stories. Hogwarts has the Chamber of Secrets, the Room of Requirement, the Marauder's Map. What stories does Beauxbatons tell about its palace corridors? What secrets are hidden in Durmstrang's ice fortresses? What mysteries await in the depths of the Amazon jungle around Castello Bruxo? What ancient spirits inhabit the mountains around Ouagadougou? These stories shape the student's experience. Part of the magic of attending a school of magic isn't just the formal learning, but the discovery, the adventure, the feeling of being part of something larger than yourself. When a Hogwarts student discovers a secret passage, when an Ilvermorny student encounters a magical creature in the surrounding forests, when a Mahutokoro student masters a particularly difficult spell and sees their robes change color, these are moments that define their lives. The friendships formed at these schools are also unique. There's something about sharing dormitories, studying for impossible exams, facing demanding professors, and navigating the school's social politics that creates deep bonds. The friends you make at a school of magic aren't just classmates. They're companions on a journey of self-discovery. You're learning together who you are, what you're capable of, and what kind of wizards you want to become. Rivalries also have their place. Healthy competition between houses at Hogwarts, between schools at the Triwizard Tournament, even between individual students trying to outdo each other. All of this drives excellence. Of course, sometimes rivalries can become too intense, can turn bitter or destructive. But at their best, they push us to be better, to not settle for mediocrity. The teachers at these schools also deserve consideration. Teaching magic isn't like teaching mundane subjects. A transfiguration professor must not only understand the theory, but be able to demonstrate complex transformations. A potions professor must have experience with rare and dangerous ingredients. A defense against the dark arts professor, as we've seen at Hogwarts, needs real knowledge of magical threats and how to combat them. And beyond technical knowledge, these teachers must understand magical teenagers, young people who are dealing not just with hormones and social drama, but with powers that can be literally dangerous if not properly controlled. An angry student who shoots sparks from their wand, a sad student who accidentally makes it rain indoors, an excited student whose magic makes things float. All of this requires not just discipline, but understanding and patience. The best schools of magic, like the best schools of any kind, are those that see their students as individuals. Yes, there are standard curricula. Yes, there are rules and expectations. But truly exceptional schools recognize that each student is unique, with their own talents, challenges, and potential paths. Some of these schools have hundreds or even thousands of years of history. They've seen empires rise and fall, seen the non-magical world change dramatically, seen changes in the very nature of magic as new spells are discovered and ancient practices are lost or rediscovered. Through all of this, they continue, adapting when necessary, but maintaining their core traditions. This raises an interesting question about the future of these institutions. How will they evolve in the coming centuries? Does magic itself change? Will new branches of magical study emerge? Will schools incorporate Muggle technology in meaningful ways, or remain deliberately separate from the non-magical world? Some schools may be more open to change than others. Ilvermorny, being relatively young, may be more flexible and innovative. Wagadu, with thousands of years of tradition, may be more cautious about fundamental changes. But all these schools will have to find ways to remain relevant as the world around them changes. One thing all these schools share, no matter how different they are in other respects, is a commitment to safety and secrecy. The International Statute of Wizarding Secrecy requires the magical community to remain hidden from Muggles, and schools of magic are some of the best-kept secrets. Imagine trying to hide entire castles, golden temples, fortresses carved into mountains, all of this from satellites, airplanes, tourists, and accidental explorers. The enchantments protecting these schools are some of the most powerful and complex in the magical world. They not only hide the physical structures, but also redirect curious Muggles, erase memories of accidental encounters, and even alter what cameras and other recording devices detect. It's a constant and vigilant effort that requires regular maintenance and updates as Muggle technology advances. There's also the question of how these schools recruit students. Hogwarts has its magical quill and book that automatically register the birth of every magical child in Britain. Ilvermorny uses a similar system. But what about schools in regions where magical children may be more scattered or where traditions are different? Wagadu uses dream messengers. Castellabruxo likely has its own methods connected to the forest and its guardian spirits. And what happens to children who show magic but live far from any established school? Are they left to develop on their own? Are they found by traveling teachers? Are there outreach programs or smaller schools we don't know about? The magical world is vast, and surely there are magical children in every corner of it, each needing guidance and training. Another fascinating aspect of these schools is how they handle students of different ability levels. Not everyone is born with the same magical potential. Some students pick up spells easily, while others struggle. Some schools, like Mahutakoro, with its colored robe system, make these differences very visible. Others may be more discreet about it, but all must find ways to challenge talented students without leaving others behind. There's also the question of students who come from non-magical families, Muggle-borns as they're called in some places. These students enter the magical world with no prior knowledge, no family stories or traditions to guide them. The best schools recognize this and provide extra support, helping these students navigate not just the academic work, but the entire magical culture and society. On the other hand, there are students from ancient magical families who grew up immersed in wizarding culture, who may have learned simple spells before even officially entering school. These students bring their own advantages and challenges. They may have more baseline knowledge, but they may also bring prejudices or expectations that need to be challenged. Schools of magic, at their best, are places where origin matters less than character and effort. Where a brilliant Muggle-born can outperform a lazy pureblood wizard. Where what you do with your abilities matters more than how naturally talented you are. Of course, not all schools or all teachers live up to this ideal perfectly, but it's a goal worth pursuing. And then finally we come to what may be the most important question about all these schools. What do they really teach? Yes, there are spells and potions, transfigurations and defenses. But beyond technical skills, what do students learn about being wizards in the modern world? They learn responsibility, that magic is power, and power can be used for good or evil. They learn about the history of the magical world, about wizard wars, about dark wizards and heroes, about past mistakes and hopes for the future. They learn about the delicate relationship between the magical world and the Muggle world, about why secrecy is important and how to maintain it. They learn about themselves, about their strengths and weaknesses, their fears and courage, their values and principles. They learn what it means to be part of a community, how to work with others, how to lead, and how to follow. They learn that even in the magical world, where impossible things happen daily, there are still rules, consequences, and responsibilities. In the end, whether 7, 11, or more, each school of magic in the Harry Potter universe represents something greater than just education. They represent tradition and innovation, history and future, community and individuality. They are places where young witches and wizards not only learn to do magic, but learn to be magical people, to find their places in a world that few Muggles even know exists. These schools, with their enchanted castles, glittering palaces, austere fortresses, golden temples, and carved mountains, are more than simple buildings. They are homes, battlegrounds, sanctuaries, and launchers of dreams. They are where memories are made, where friendships are forged, where futures are shaped. And though we may never visit these schools ourselves, though we may never feel a wand in our hand or see the enchanted ceiling of the Great Hall, we can still appreciate what they represent. The idea that there is magic in the world, hidden just beyond what we can see. The idea that education is transformation, that learning isn't just absorbing facts, but becoming something more. The idea that no matter where you were born or who your parents are, you have potential within you waiting to be unlocked. These are the true lessons of the magic schools of Harry Potter. And these lessons, unlike spells and enchantments, work even in the Muggle world. So while we may never receive our letter from Hogwarts, Ilvermorny, or any other school of magic, we can still carry with us the spirit of what these institutions represent. So what did you think of this journey through the world of magic schools? Which school would you most like to attend? Do you see yourself studying at Hogwarts with its ancient traditions, at Beauxbatons with its French elegance, at Durmstrang with its focus on power, at Ilvermorny with its American inclusivity, at Castellabruxo surrounded by the Amazon, at Mahotokoro with its Japanese discipline, or at Ouagadougou learning the most ancient magics of Africa? Leave your answer in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave your like, share with other Harry Potter fans, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on the notification bell to be notified whenever new content comes out. Thanks for watching until the end. See you in the next video, where we'll continue exploring the mysteries and wonders of the magical universe. Until then, may the magic always be with you.